Hello, hello, hello. It's been a couple of weeks since we last heard from Norm Winski. It's a couple of weeks too long. Norm, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. First, I would like to review what I forecasted back on when I was last on your show, Jeff. On Friday, March 22, hopefully you can see my notes now. And we have here that we had a big cluster. AC is after the close, so this was on a Friday after the close. So we had this big cluster of astrological events over that weekend. Let's see, we had 3 points to the U.S. chart that has to do with where the planets were on July the 4th, 1776, in relation to where the planets are now. And we have three of those, I think. Let's see, we had that. Anytime we have that, we have stocks, T bonds, U.S. dollar. So we have that one, and that one. And then we had also over that weekend, we had from the point of view of the Earth, that's geocentric, Mars entering Pisces for oil. And then I'm going to skip over those because I already mentioned those. And then we had a Mercury cycle. Anytime we have Mercury, we look at the grains: corn, soybeans, wheat. And we also early Monday morning, if we have something AC overnight, over the weekend, we're looking to do a trade possibly on the next trading day's opening, or near the opening there. That would be Monday the 25th. So that early Monday morning, we had a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Libra. Anytime we have a full moon or new moon, we look at financials, grains, precious metals, and oil. And because it's in Libra, we're emphasizing sugar and wheat. So here's our first chart. Here's corn. Notice it did not work. We had 2 points for the corn. We had the Mercury cycle and the moon, and that didn't work. Here, the soybeans were friendlier. They came down, made a low right there, and then popped up. So you had a chance to make some money. So that's two green arrows versus the corn was two red arrows. Then we had the wheat. We got 3 good points for the wheat because we extra bonus point there for the wheat because of being in Libra. We would have had the other 2 points anyway, and because it was in Libra, then we gave it a bonus point. And you can see the nice short-term top there in the wheat. Sugar is a Libra market, and so we had that, and so it came down, made a nice low there, and then up, up, and away for sugar. Crude oil was going sideways for our two crude oil points there, and so that was a pass. Yellow is a pass, we do nothing. Silver was going sideways, so we passed. Here's gold pulling down into the moon for a nice low within a day of the low there, and very close to the low, and then up, up, and away. Gold's been recently making new all-time highs, by the way, since that low. And here's the S&P. We had 6 points for the S&P for the stock market because all those points potentially can relate to the stock market. And as you can see there, we made a low there. It did go a little bit against the next day and then reverse, and then you had a nice rally. Here's the bonds making a short-term top there on the 4 points I had for the bonds. Dollar did the same. Here's your currencies. They came down into the full moon, lunar eclipse, and then popped up for the Aussie dollar. Here's your British pound, made a little short-term low there. Here's the Canadian, was probably the best of all, with a nice low there and then a rally. Here's the euro, had a short-term low there and then a pop-up. And the yen, although it made a low there, just went sideways. So I counted that as a miss. If you add up all the green arrows and the yellow and red arrows, that's the 25. You got 25 winners, 3 misses out of 28 for 89.29%. Here's what's coming up on next week, for next week or so. Monday afternoon, we have a total solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, and we get 2 eclipses per year, solar and lunar, sometimes one or two more. But they usually the total is a bit rare. Anyway, that's a form of a new moon, a special kind of new moon. And so we look at financials, grains, precious metal, and oil. And I'm going to talk about this in more detail here in just a minute. Then we have Neptune lining up with the U.S. chart on the night of the 10th. So we'll be looking for something possible for stocks, T bonds, U.S. dollar, the morning of the 11th. And the morning of the 15th, which will be the following Monday, we have Jupiter lining up with Uranus in the sign of Taurus for cattle, copper, and cotton. So here, this is a very interesting total solar eclipse we have coming. Here's a map here I have below here. You can see it actually starts out way over here in Mexico as it hits North America. Does it go through Texas? Then it's going to cross that point right there. I'll be happy to send you this article if you like. It talks about going over this point here called, as the locals like to call it, New Madrid. I took Spanish. I'm inclined to say New Madrid, but you got to go with the locals. And so anyway, this is a big earthquake fault there, big seismic fault there along the Mississippi River. Back in 1812, there was a massive earthquake. It said it changed the course of the Mississippi River. Matter of fact, that little town ended up in the middle of the river, and it changed the course of the river. Some of the tributaries, I'm told, like the Wabash, and ended up flowing backwards for a while because of that. And it said it rang church bells in Boston over 1,000 miles away. Obviously, now, not every new moon or full moon or eclipse is going to trigger a seismic event, but if the conditions are just right, this could act like the straw that breaks the camel's back, that triggering mechanism. There's been studies done on California earthquakes, and many of the California earthquakes corresponded to some lunar event, like the October 89 World Series earthquake corresponded to a full moon at perigee within a day or two. And so be aware of that. And, if we did get a massive earthquake on the site, you can look this up. It's called the New Madrid Fault. There you go, seismic zone. And if we were to get that within a few hundred miles of there, you have some, big population centers like St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Chicago. So this could be a big deal if this were to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you should be aware of that. Anyway, here's the eclipse is going to go on this path here through southern Illinois, southern central Indiana. It's on a northeasterly track over Cleveland and up through upper New York and up that way. And so, ancient astrologers would tell you, you don't want to be anywhere near the path of an eclipse because supposedly for the next 6 months, there potentially could be trouble there. And the irony is millions of people are flocking to be in the path of the eclipse so they can see the eclipse. All right, so that's the big deal coming on Monday. If you'd like more information, I'll be happy to send you. I copied and pasted this right out of my April monthly letter. I'll be happy to send you this so you can click on the links and read the Wikipedia articles and all that sort of thing. And I'll also send you an additional bonus free report on my results from last month, March, when I got, I think, 79, a little under 80% winning signals. If you're not familiar with me, I have been doing this about 50 years, started doing this when I was a college student in the early 70s, made enough money to buy a membership on the Chicago Board Options Exchange. In 1975, I was a Chicago floor trader on the CBOE and also did a little stint on the Chicago Board of Trade there during the 70s and the 80s. And so I have a little bit of experience, and I've studied most of all these disciplines here: GAN, Elliott Wave, astrophysics, astrology, music cycles, Fibonacci, and so forth. So I'll be happy to help you with any of that you'd like. Please give me a call at 5 here in beautiful Naples, Florida, 239-594-3939, 239-594-3939. You can email me at annwinski@yahoo.com, or you can call me on Skype at the same address. I don't text, so don't bother doing that. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great week ahead. Hopefully we'll still be here on Tuesday. And looking forward to helping some of the folks there, Jeff.
Norm, great statistics as always in a market where very few people even get majority of their trades winning. You consistently get in the 70s, 80s, and even higher sometimes. Norm, we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
All right, thanks a lot.